Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with my co-host, the beautiful Yolanda M. Smith, the Branthropist, and our celebrity co-host in the house, Amy Thurman.
Whoop, whoop.
What's going on, guys?
Lovely.
So
day.
happy to be here.
Yes.
Come on, you guys gotta give me. You guys gotta give me that energy now.
Hanging out with you is like the best thing ever.
It makes me feel.
Does that make you feel good?
Sure.
Okay.
You got that right. Never a dull moment.
Never.
Never a dull moment. Okay, so let's get right down to the point today with the show. Today's show is going to be like really impactful. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to have some seriousness. But more importantly, we're going to go on a journey, one man's journey, into the world of being a comedian. 45 years.
I hope he tells a joke.
15 years, not 45, 15 years.
He's been doing it for 45 years.
No, you guys were talking about age, and I don't know where the 45 came from. But 15 years, can you imagine? 15 years in the entertainment industry and being a comedian, what that must be like.
Wow.
Making people laugh. I don't even like making you laugh for the many hours that we're here, even though I'm funny. I don't like it.
No, it's not the jokes, it's the singing. Anyway.
Oh my God. Okay.
We love you.
You are funny.
But before we get started, let's introduce our celebrity co-host, Miss Amy Thurman. Amy, tell the viewers a little bit about you before we get started.
Well, thank you for having me. It's such an honor. It's such an honor. I know a little bit about that beast mindset, so I'm all about what you're doing and excited to be here. I'm an inspirational speaker, a best-selling author, a podcast host, and a mom who has lived the past 10 years with a broken neck that went undetected for 6 months. And instead of ending my life, I decided to reclaim it. And here I am now.
And look at you now, girl, looking good.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Was that like when did you realize you had broke your neck? You're talking about for that long a period. It sounded like there would have been some indications that I got a broken neck. You know, were you like this, or you know what was going on?
There was so much pain in my head. The neurologists were focused on my brain. They were looking for a brain bleed. They were looking for everything except my neck. And it took my fourth neurologist saying, "Has anyone ever looked at your neck?" And I said, "No." And I just kept advocating for myself, going to neurologist to make sure I knew someone out there had to know what to look for. So
it makes you wonder about the medical career. Whoa! Let me do this. You need to take accountability for your own symptoms, because this is what happens when you go to the doctors. They only can, and I'm not knocking the medical field. The medical doctors only analyze what you tell them.
Well, they're focused on the symptom, not the problem.
Did you tell them that your neck? Cases. Did you even go anywhere near your neck when you was going there?
It was my head. Like I couldn't lift my head up off the bed because my head hurt.
Well,
but I didn't know it was because of my neck.
Yeah.
The head feels heavy.
But my doctor wasn't really trained to look for that.
Where are you from again?
Oklahoma.
I'm not going there.
Well, here's the thing we got to remember. We got to guess. So we got to get there.
Yeah,
but here's the thing you got to remember. They go to school too, and not all of them get A's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're going to start asking for their GPAs. Today on the show, we have all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. Like I said, 15 years in the entertainment field. Great comedian. I've seen his stands up, and he's really good. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show Spyder Jones. What's up, Spyder?
Spyder.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Going great. Before we get started, Spyder, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into your journey.
All right. Well, like I said, I've been doing comedy for about 15 years now. I started when I was 30 on a bet. Before I did that, I was a DJ for like 23 years. Started that when I was a teenager. And like you said, like earlier before we started the show, you was just like, where you got your name from? I actually got it when I was a kid. I was playing around the street, and you play ball in the street. You don't go to the park because you go to the park, you might not come back. And I was just hanging out, and the neighborhood dog got loose, and I couldn't make it home. Right. So I ran up this car, and I jumped off the car, and I grabbed a tree branch, and I swung over a fence. So everybody started calling me Spider-Man. And then as I got older, I got skinnier, and they wanted to start calling me Stretch Armstrong. I had a temper about that, so I was just like, nah, I'm Spider. And then I started DJing, and I just kept the name. That's just been like one of my other nicknames. You know how once you get a nickname, that's it. So
Yeah, I know. I'm Yo-Yo.
Yeah. You can't mess with my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in Phoenix? Did you grow up in the Phoenix, Arizona area?
No, no. I was born in Cincinnati, and then I would go like spend summers and certain years in Atlanta with my aunt, and I moved back and forth a lot. And then like during college and after, I moved around a lot. So I actually moved to Phoenix from Cleveland. So it's just one of those things where I was like, it's too cold here. I'm gonna go somewhere where I'm gonna just burn up for the rest of my life.
What part of Cleveland? What part? Spyder.
See, that's how I know you. That's how I know y'all Midwest. As soon as I said a city, you were just like, which part? I need to make sure that I know you.
Yeah.
Only Midwesterners do that. Like, where you from? Oh, you which part? I want to make sure. I lived in Lakewood, and then I lived near downtown, and I spent some time over in Shaker.
Guess where I lived when I was in Cleveland? We're pretty much
Cleveland Heights?
neighbors. No, heck no. Avon Lake.
Oh, we ain't neighbors. You were out in the boonies. Ain't no bus line in Avon Lake. What you talking about?
You know what I realized when I moved to Avon Lake? I was the only one in Avon Lake. Yeah. Like I was like, where am I at? And I would go to the store and I'd be like, I said, this was the first thing I said. I said, where are the black people? They go, there's none here. You're like, and people would literally call me and say, Trey, there's some black person at the store. Come on up. And I would literally get in my car to the store. Yeah. Man, how you doing? Where you live?
Right. I have people that live in Columbia Station, and I go visit them. They be like, Johnny? I'm like, who's Johnny? He's like, oh, he's the new black dude that just moved into town. It's like, no, I don't know. I'm not from here. And that's some Midwestern stuff.
Yeah. So
they think you know everybody.
Exactly.
So Spyder, what was the bet? You said it was a bet that you took that took you down the road of comedy. What was the bet?
Well, I used to manage some Jimmy John's back east, and we would have manager meetings, and we were just cutting up, and one of the girls was just like, y'all think y'all funny, you should go do this contest. And me, I was like, I don't do anything unless there's money involved. So we put $20 in, and we signed up for this contest at the local club, Funny Stop in Akron, and we all went, and I ended up winning the contest.
Wow.
And I was like, cool. And I took the money.
What was the prize?
What was it? The prize was the actual prize was to come back, but I won $120 from the bet. Right. But once I got my money, I'm leaving. The club owner and the headliner that night had to grab me and tell me to come back. They was like, you got to come back and find which day you want to come back. And I'm like, I got my money. I don't need to come back. We good. I'm going to go sling these sandwiches tomorrow and have a good day. They're like, nah, you got to come back. So like 20 minutes talking in the parking lot, they convinced me to come back, right? I come back. I advance to the finals. And even then, I'm like, I don't need to come back. There's like, if you make the finals, you get a weekend. I'm like, I don't need to come back. But I came back. Went first. If you know comedians, if you do a contest, no one wants to go first.
Right.
I went first because I wanted to go home. And I stayed. And everyone was like, oh, you won. And then the guy came late and he went up and he killed. But anyone can kill after 3 hours of hearing people talk about things no one care about.
Right.
And he beat me by like 3 points.
Wow.
And they told me come back. And I came back again. I did the whole contest again for one more year. And then I was like, I went first again. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. And then the owner grabbed me, was like, you're not winning. I've already told him to take your name out. I'm just going to sign you to a couple of dates. And I'm competitive. I was like, no, you're not. I'm winning. You're going to keep me in this. He's like, you don't get it. They get 1 weekend. You're going to get 5. I was like, that's great. I need this trophy and that $50. I need you to keep me. Yeah. So, and that's how I started.
So I heard this one comedian, I play him on my radio station, and he talks about, he was in the audience and the heckler said, hey, when do you know you're a professional? When did you know you was a professional in the comedy or being a comedian? When was your, I'm now a professional?
I had to have another comedian tell me. And I don't want to name drop, but I was working the major club. I was working Hilarities, is a major club, and I was hosting for Sinbad.
Oh wow.
And
Cool.
if you ever seen Sinbad, you know he don't do just 45 minutes. He will do 90 minutes to 2 hours, regardless if there's a second or third show. That man will go, and it's funny. But at the end, we had one more show left, and he usually ends the show on his own. Like the host don't have to come back. So I was telling him, I was like, "Hey, once I get off stage, I'm leaving. It was nice to meet you. Had a great time." He was like, "Where you going?" I was like, "Well, I ain't got to go headline this show at this bar." And he was like, "How much you making?" I was like, I'm gonna get like $100." And he pulled it out, and he was like, "You don't need to do that anymore." He's like, "You work clubs. You no longer need. You are a professional. You don't need to be going to do those shows." I was like, "I need to because I need the money and the exposure." And he was just like, "You didn't hear me. Sit down. We gonna talk." And that's when he made me realize I was professional. And that was 8 years in. That was 8 years in, and I learned more working with him in a weekend than I learned all those years of doing comedy.
Spyder, that's a big name drop. And I hope that he's doing well. I've been following him. He's been dealing with a lot of health
Yeah.
issues and stuff, and he's definitely has paid one of the comedians that have paved the way in not only comedy but theater and movies as well. For him to come to you and
Right.
really share that information, what was at least three of the most impactful things that you learned from him that you still carrying on to this day?
I'm gonna say the main one. He told me flat out. He's like, if you're not having fun while you're on stage, stop doing it.
Yeah.
He said, if you just up there because it's like a job, stop. You're not gonna be good. He's like, you need to enjoy the moment. And he's just like, read the audience. He's like, I can tell you can do that. You're doing really well. But he's like, you can't just take every job. You can't just take everything, no matter where you're at. But the main point that I always kept with me was that if you are not having fun on that stage, stop it. Because if you're not having fun, the audience is not having fun.
I believe that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's,
And like I
that's
said,
the
yeah.
word there. So
And I learned so much just watching him, let alone listening to him.
So who are some of your favorite people that you've gotten to work with?
So Michael Collier was
Yes.
really good.
Yep.
I worked with him a few times. He's a really nice guy. A lot of them aren't big names. Alicia Taylor, she's really funny. She's really nice. Local guy here, Tony Tripoli, he's really cool to work with. There's so many. And I think another person that helped me out, and this is for the pandemic, was, and I feel like I keep name dropping, I worked with Tommy Davidson a few times. And
Yeah.
we talk because like when I'm doing comedy, just like you just talking mess, everybody's going back and forth trying to be the funniest person in the room. I'm usually just like, I'm quiet, I'm listening, because I'm just soaking no matter who you're around, I'm just soaking up everything. So I keep to myself that, born in the 70s, 80s and 90s, your parents told you to shut up when grown folks are in the room. So when the grown folks in the room, I shut up. And like DC Curry got mad at me one time because I was just being quiet, listening. He was just like, "You're the most entertaining non-entertainer I never met. You ain't said a word. You said please and thank you. You put a napkin when you was eating. What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm just being polite." He was like, "Yeah, I know. I like it. Get out the room." It was real cool,
That's
But yeah, it's just one of those things.
I'm really curious. I've watched some of your things. You're very funny. And you have this observational style about you that you use in a storytelling manner that just draws people in. Like I could relate to so many things that you were saying. One of the things that stood out to me, he was saying like, when you're a kid, you knew when to come home when the lights came on,
Yep.
like when the street lights came on. Like we didn't have, cell phones and everything. But I'm just curious if that has always been your style or if that's something that you learned to do over time.
I mean, I can't write a joke. I've tried. When you first start out, you have all these people giving you advice. I can't write a B, C type joke. I just tell stories. And I try to make sure that they relate. So it's kind of been my style. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I only talk about what I know. Like I can't just sit out there and just talk.
How do you read the crowd? You said that Sinbad shared that with you, and I go to a lot of comedy stuff here in Indianapolis. How do you read the crowd? How do you know that your material is going to really work? Because I'm pretty sure you guys have your skits ready to go out. What if it doesn't work? What if you can't read the crowd? What's your game plan? What's your audible?
But one thing I do is I try my best to make a set list like everyone else does. But let's say if I'm doing 30 minutes, I'll write for 60. So if something doesn't work, I can't audible. But in college, I was a psychology major. So I learned how to read behavior. And one thing I do is I'll sit somewhere and watch the audience come in, or I'll walk around and look to see what the audience is like. And that will tell me how should I start the show. And then which order I should do whatever stories I want to talk about. And I tell a lot of people, I was like, just see who's coming in. You can see if they're happy, if they're sad, if there's a birthday, or, just if you just look at how they're dressed and how they're acting, you can kind of tell the mood or the area. Once you can get a good feel of the people that is there, you can start the show on a good note. Because that first minute is the key to the rest of your show. You come out there and if you've been to a comedy show, and you notice the first thing a comic says and no one laughs or even does anything, the rest of the show is hard. You're in a hole. So yeah, so I literally just walk around, look at the age, look at the age, who's in the audience, black, white, Mexican, whatever. Once I get that feel of what I have as a whole, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say this. And once I got them going, then I'll start my stuff.
Now you mentioned some great name drops from Tommy Davis, and I had the pleasure to meet Tommy Davidson years ago too, and it was funny. We was at Indianapolis downtown mall. Remember when they first opened the mall downtown?
Circle Center.
Yeah, and it was so funny. No, that's pretty much all Caucasians at that time going through the mall. So he's going through the downtown mall, and I was at GNC, and everybody's like, "Hey, there's some black guy walking around the mall," but we know he's famous. And so he comes by me, and we managed to meet. That's when Joanna Man had just came out, and I had a chance to meet him and talk to him, and he gave me an autograph. Very nice guy. So I can see him giving you some good advice and why he would be a great guy to be on stage with. But my question is, you mentioned two good names. Have there been any good female encounters that you had in this business?
Encounters?
Yeah, I mean some role models that you looked up to. You know what I'm talking about. Don't try to change mine. Look, I'm the funny guy here now.
That encounter.
Look, I'll say this.
Is that
I will say
similar
this.
to an entanglement?
No, I didn't say that. I said
I've never done that. Nope.
female comedians that you've been around.
Spyder not going there.
I'm gonna say this, and I know a lot of men won't say it. There are tons of funny female comics.
Yeah.
There are tons of funny female comics. One that I saw get their start when I was in Cleveland, Jasmine Carter. Really funny. Started doing commercials as well.
Yeah.
She's in LA right now, so if y'all look her up. Like I said, Alicia Taylor, she's really funny. Miss Pat, she just blew up. So I mean, I worked with her years ago. I know she probably don't remember me. Thea Vidal, I worked with her. She was hilarious. I mean, Katrina Brown. A lot of people don't know her name, but she tours the country. She's really hilarious. There's tons of. I probably work better with female comics than I have with male comics because
Spyder, you missed
they just
one.
want to.
You missed one. She's from Cleveland. You missed one. You better say her name.
Who did I forget?
She was on the America's first comedy show, Tammy Pascatelli.
Oh, I've worked with her a few times, and I always forget.
Cleveland's on. Yeah.
I forget. I always I've worked with her at the Funny Stop. It's a smaller club outside of Cleveland, and again, she's funny. I've only worked with her a handful of times, but that's another one.
Yeah,
that's another one. They made me audition for Last Comic Standing.
Oh,
yeah. That's
obviously it didn't go well, but I mean, I did it.
Did you audition for it?
Auditioned for it, and then they made me audition for America's Got Talent, which I didn't understand until it was the same people. But they had me audition, like I did the last Comic Stand audition, and then they were like, "Hey, we have another audition. Come over here." And then I'm sitting in this huge auditorium with family acrobats and like people tossing knives, and it's just like, "Oh, I have this pet trip with my dog who makes martinis," and you got this family of ninjas just flipping around, and it's like, "What do you do?" And it's like, "I'm gonna tell a story about how I had to be home before the street light came on," and I'm just like, I don't even know why I'm here right now. Y'all need to just let me leave.
Well, they were trying to pull some
Yeah.
comics out of there. They've had a couple good ones go
Yeah.
pretty far
Yeah.
on that show. So when you think about comedy, I mean, because obviously entertainment is not what we consider the traditional path, right, of a career. How do you sustain it? How
Yeah.
do you? I mean. How do you elevate? How do you sustain? How do you get out there and mix it up?
Honestly, just like any form of entertainment, you just got to be out there. You have to constantly be at the clubs. You have to constantly be, if you're local, at all the open mics, so people see you. You just, even though I was told don't take every show, up until someone decides I'm gonna take you on the road with me, you kind of have to go to every show. You don't have to say yes, but you need to like show your face, because the club owner starts seeing you. And they see you more and more, you're in their head now, and they'll just be like, "Hey, you know what? Go on stage." And I'll be the first one to say it. I'm horrible at that advice. I am horrible. Like, there are days that I'll be sitting at home and I'll be like, I should go to the club and just hang out and be like a good local comic. And then I'll order a pizza, start watching football, and just be like, well, it'll be okay. I'll send them an email. But yeah, like, you should. I would tell people all the time, like, just go to
How's
the
that
club,
working
go to
out
open
for
mics,
you?
get to there.
Sitting at home.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm lazy. Pizza's great. I love my food. I sit there and be like, I'll go tomorrow. Then I send them an email like, hey, I'm not coming, but here's my availability. I know I should put in more work as a local, but at the same time, I get real lazy, and I'll just sit there and eat a bag of fruit snacks and watch cartoons.
So I
and
guess the
just
question
be like,
is,
I'll do it tomorrow.
then what's your goal? What's your goal?
My goal is to I was a full-time comic before the pandemic, and then like everyone else, everything set back. So I took some time off, but I'm trying to get back to being a full-time comic. I have this thing where like every month I send out my resume to all the clubs and promoters I've worked with, and then that's how I start making my schedule. So like I'll have like so many in January, so I'll start working on February. Like now I'm working on March and April, like, because most clubs book 2 months in advance or higher. So like you have to start book. A lot of people don't realize that you got to start booking right away. Some people will literally just be like, I don't have nothing. You send an email on Tuesday, like, I ain't got nothing. Call you on Wednesday. Hey, I need you this weekend. I was like, you knew yesterday you needed me this weekend. Why did you wait? A lot of people will wait to the last minute to book you. So you got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. I just got an email asking if I would come do comedy in Thailand. I'm like, I don't even know the language. And then he gave me $1. I was just like, I can fake it. Yeah. I got a passport. Yeah.
So, Spyder, what's been at least 3 of the toughest part of your journey so far? You've been doing this for 15 years, and then the pandemic sets. That had to be something, because you're. Let's get real. You're independent. You are your own brand, and being on the stage is how you make your money. During the pandemic, we seen a shift where people were doing it online. They start saying, "You want to watch me." You can come online and watch. But what's been some of the biggest challenges for you, and then what did you do to overcome those?
Well, I'll tell you this. I hated doing virtual comedy. I hated it so much, because you'll say something and you won't hear a laugh. And then you'll go back, and so you'll say something else, and then you'll just see the screens flicker, and everybody will start laughing 15 seconds after you said the joke, because some people running on T-Mobile wireless and don't get like real internet. So you have to realize, and I hated it so much, and it drove me crazy. But honestly, it's just the pandemic hurt. That set me back like a good 2 years. I also was sick. Like I said, I've been doing this for almost 15 years, but other than the pandemic, I've had to quit twice over health issues. And that And so like anytime you take a break, your spot don't get saved.
Right.
So yeah. So unless you famous, as soon as you leave, someone will take your spot. So you got, like I said, you got to constantly be out there. And like another thing is rejection. You can have the best tape in the world, but if that one booker doesn't like you or just feels like you're not right, you won't get booked. And some bookers don't just book one club; they'll book 6, 7, 10 clubs.
Wow.
And sometimes, and I have a little PDF with all the emails on there. So I just click on there, say my resume availabilities. I probably at one time I sent over 500 emails, and I only got 3 responses back. And personally, I take that as rejection. I'd rather you send me an email back saying no than not hearing from you. So a lot of people in this industry can't handle the rejection. And it's also hard where you're fighting for a spot with 100 other comedians. So you got to realize, like, let's say there's 52 weeks a year. The club is probably closed only 2 weeks for the holidays. There's only 50 spots. Those headliners are already gone. So you got to try and get the feature, and then you got to try and get the host. And you're one person out of 100 people for 50 spots in a total year. So you got to constantly just be battling. You got to constantly, like, I sent emails all across the country and just hope that, like, if I send out 100, 10 of you tell me yes. And you just got to keep that mindset that.
Yeah. So what do you do then? Because what that says to me is it's a very competitive landscape. So what do you do personally for your personal development to ensure that you stay on top of your game?
Anytime I'm somewhere at a bigger club, I'll record it and then I'll send it out. Like the more I record in different places, the more that I show I'm traveling, that I am being booked at certain places, that I can handle big venues, bigger crowds, that I'm getting my name out there. Because that's what a lot of people look at now. Like, you can be funny, but they'll be like, well, how many followers do you have on Instagram? How many people do you have on Facebook? Who are, like, it used to be, who are you working with and can they vouch for you? Mm-hmm. And I had one booker tell me, like, I loved your video. I think it's great, but you only have like 2,000 people on Instagram. So I'm going to go with this influencer. Mm-hmm. I lost 2 shows to influencers. And then I went to those shows and the booker was like, yeah, I should have booked you. And I was like, that's okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I'm not mad. I am, but you can't show it.
Yes. But what are you doing then to get, because you can get the following too. I mean, it's that whole social media thing, that's all a game. I mean, you can make that happen. So what are you doing to build your following?
Honestly, just like when I do shows, I talk to people. The best way to do it is just when you do a show, the minute the show is over, you do a meet and greet. You have to go out there and talk to everybody, shake hands, kiss babies, and be like, "Oh, thank you for coming out.
Follow me.
Here's a sticker with all my info on it. Please follow me. Let you know what my shows are. Give me your email." You pretty much got to hustle 100% all day, every day.
Gotcha.
You got to stay on it and just keep out there, and then just you got to put out new content. That's how those influencers do. You got to put out new content. I can record a show and it could be almost the same material, but if I cut it up and show I'm at a different club and I'm getting the same reactions from each of those videos, it looks like, oh, it's something new. A lot of times people ain't pay attention. I'm telling the same joke. I'm just in a different club.
Spyder, how was this messing with your mental health? Because like Yolanda said, the competition is tight. And I seen comedians like Tammy Pescatelli. I went to her wedding. She's a good friend of mine, but I also saw where she started at with the Last Comic Stand. I saw the endless work that she put into network and to get where she has and to be married and to start a family and still go back later to be offered her own television segment and so forth. This has to be a mental stress on you as well. How do you deal with that? And were there ever moments to where it really got to the point that it was messing with you mentally?
You're completely right, man. Like you can I've seen comics where it's just like they just shut down, where they just can't take it anymore, and it's mostly due to rejection. It a lot of it is just they can't. A lot of people can't handle rejection from not being booked. It's a tough industry, and you just gotta stay on it. I've had moments where I've been driving home from a show, and I'm just like, I'm tired of having to put in all this work and not getting enough credit. I want to quit. I want to quit. I want to quit. But I know it's me in my head. I got to be stronger. I got to be tougher. One thing I remember growing up is like I was going to school, I started going to this private school, and it was just like, hey, you are a black kid going to this white school. You got to be stronger, tougher, smarter, faster. You got to you want an A, get an A plus. You just got to be different. And I've always had that mindset where it's just like, okay, you want this? Do it. Do it right. I tell myself before I go on stage, it's to hype me up, especially if I'm somewhere new. I'm like, these people don't know you. They don't respect you. Make them respect you. You go out there and make them remember you. And that's how I got to be. And everybody falls. We all fall. I've fallen several times in this industry, and I'm just like, it takes me a minute. Like I'll have like this little rant and outburst by myself. Like I'll be sitting there like, I can't do this anymore. No one likes me. And then I have to just like sit down for a moment and just breathe and just remember the process and be like, you need to just shut up, take a minute, pull yourself together, and then get back out the door. Because if I couldn't do this, I wouldn't get booked. If I wasn't good enough, I wouldn't be on the road with certain people. People wouldn't be calling and emailing me. So I know I can do this. It's just in my head, like every other entertainer, I want to be a top guy.
Right.
You just have to have that mindset. Like I truly believe I can go toe to toe with anybody on a good day.
Let me ask a question. We saw the emerging of individuals like Cat Williams took hiatus from movies, and all of a sudden he comes back and he's
Shay Shay.
he gets on Club Shay Shay, and we need to have you come here and have some drinks with us and give you a woke badge too. But my point here is, I was listening to his message, and a lot of the comedians now are taking a public voice as it deals with what's going on in the world, almost a political stand and even a spiritual stand. I listened to him, and a lot of stuff really resonate. Do you find yourself, a lot of the comedians gravitating so much from being funny to really using their voice as a platform instrument to actually address what's going on with them, both mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? What's your take on that?
It's like this. I mean, I've seen a few comics that I know, especially with mental health. That's been the major thing. Because I mean, this last couple of years, like a lot of comedians, big and small, just distressed, and like they take their own lives. And so we try to rally around each other lately. Just be like, hey, if you're going through a tough time, give us a call. We can talk, hang out, just make sure you're feeling better. I'm definitely a big advocate for mental health. That you should always feel safe enough to go to talk to somebody and you got a weight of the world on your shoulders. Let someone know. You can go and talk to someone. Don't say, no one wants to listen. We're here. Everybody has a voice and they need to be heard, and let them know that someone cares. And I love the fact that like there are comedians out there now that are speaking up about mental health. As far as like politics, I've never been a political person. I truly believe that like when I go do a comedy show, I'm like, I don't talk about politics because I'm there to make you laugh. And if you're having a bad day, I want you, for whatever amount of time I'm on stage, I want you to forget about all the bad things that have happened to you that day. And I want to cheer you up. But I don't have a problem with people being political on stage because that's their platform. And if you believe strongly in something and you think that if you get it out there, you're going to help someone else, or you're going to help someone realize like, oh, I didn't know this was going on. It's great. And you should do that. I mean, I can't do it because like I said, if you watch me, I have not had any real struggles in life. Like I've had comedians tell me, you hear they're just like, oh man, I grew up, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I was beat as a kid. And I'm like, Yeah, the worst thing is I got a Sega instead of a Nintendo as a kid. Like, oh no, my trauma. I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard? I told a story. It's just like I didn't know what food stamps were as a kid. Didn't have it. I thought, and I saw my friend use food stamps at lunch one day, and I thought he was paying with school with Monopoly money. And I went home and got the money out the box and went to school the next day, thinking I was buying lunch for the whole cafeteria.
With
So
the
like,
monopoly money, Lord.
oh,
What are your thoughts on
like I wasn't.
censorship? Yeah, because I grew up in an era where back in the day you could basically say whatever you wanted to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
and it was not this cancel culture that we have today. So how has that impacted? Because you've been in the game 15 years, so I imagine you were
Yeah,
on that curve of being able to say some things, and now it's very different.
I don't think there should be any censorship. But with that said, I feel like if you're on stage and you know you're about to say something extremely controversial, own it. If you said it, own it. You don't explain it. I mean, like you said, we've seen it where like someone says something and then the next day, that was offensive. He shouldn't have said that. It's canceled. I was like, yeah, it was a joke. Like, you were at a comedy show. He did that for laughs. If you did not like it, just say you don't like it. I don't think someone should be canceled for doing their job. Now, if you out here, you know, you running a company, you say something stupid, I understand that. But far as like an entertainer, like if you're on stage and I say no, a gay slur, but I'm trying to prove a point in the story that I'm telling, then it should be okay as long as you get it. But I don't think there should be censorship in comedy.
But it is. So then how do you handle that? Because it is.
Um,
I mean, we saw that with
yeah,
Kevin Hart recent, not too long ago.
right. Something he said years before.
Exactly. They don't even.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I don't think that's right. I don't think you should be punishing someone who said a joke 10, 15 years ago about something and not they didn't even give him a chance to be like, okay, do you really feel like this? Until it was too late.
Mm.
And I just truly believe there's like when it comes to comedy, there should not be censorship. That you should
How do
not
you
be able
avoid-
to cancel somebody.
Yeah. So how do you avoid the controversy then? You just don't say those things. I mean, you feel like you're.
That's another thing. You can't avoid it. If you say something and someone does not agree with it, you have to stand your ground or apologize. But don't be afraid to say what you need to say when you're doing comedy. I mean, I've had people come up and tell me I didn't like what you said. I'm offended, and I'll be like, I'm sorry that you were offended by that, but I was saying something in my perspective that other people found funny. And then I'll go back and listen to it. And if you have, and now you come talk to me after I said something that you didn't agree with, and you make valid points, I'll be like, you know what, you're right. I won't say that anymore. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm wrong if you can come with a valid point. But if you don't have a valid point, I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying.
Spyder, you've been in this for quite some time. What has been the three most difficult parts of your journey?
Definitely, like I said, rejection and having to deal with that and keep your head on and just keep persevering. Once you start traveling can be hard. If you go on the road for like 3 weeks, you got to get used to that balance, making sure you're taking care of yourself. And most importantly, and this is something that I am horrible with, communication with everyone back home. I will forget to call someone for like 2 weeks and let them know I'm still alive. like me and my brother are horrible. Like I'll text my brother right now and he'll text me back on Friday. Like
I know
we
people
are
do that today.
horrible at.
They say I got something I'm here. My brother. Oh my
Right.
God.
I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital once, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Hey, just let you know, I'm in the hospital. I had some heart issues. I'm okay. They'll let me out in a couple of days." It took him 2 days after I got checked out. "Hey, is everything okay? Do you need me to come get you?" I was like, "I'm already out." What do you mean, come get me? So yeah, so like, just I'm horrible at like talking to people, which is sad because I'm a comedian. I'm on stage, but the minute I get off stage, I'm just like, oh, I think I was supposed to tell somebody something. Oh well, and then I just, yeah.
So go ahead,
I
Amy.
find that so interesting. I've always been curious about comedians, like just lifestyles. Like, do you feel like you have to be funny all the time with the group of people that you're around, your friends that you hang out with? Do you run your jokes by them? How does that work?
I don't think I need. If I was Spyder 24 hours a day, then I definitely would kill myself. I've heard the things that come out of my mouth, and I want to punch me sometimes. So I can't be that guy. I can't be him all the time. And even when I'm just trying to be me and I hear Spyder come out, I'm like, you know what? I heard what I just said. My bad. Continue.
Right.
But yeah, I can't be the comedian. And that's the thing. When people find out you're a comedian, they're like, tell me a joke.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
give me $5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Look, all three of us was getting ready to say, tell me a joke. You know what? We want to see how funny he is. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
All right, so you got to tell a joke. You've been out. You got to tell a joke now.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man. But it happens so much, especially when you're around new people, and they'll be like, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" I'll be like, "Oh, I drive buses." I tell them what my father used to do. Yeah, I'm a bus driver. Yeah. I pick up garbage. He's like, "Yeah, like I deliver sandwiches. I work for Postmates." I don't compete when people find out you're a comedian. They'll be like, "Oh my God, tell me everything. Tell me something funny." It's like, "Here's my bank account." Yeah, so I'm like,
Spyder, before we wrap up, you mentioned an industry has a lot of competition involved in it. A lot of, maybe the risk versus reward factor isn't what people may think it is. What would you share with young individuals that are trying to go down this road to success? What's some of the advice you would give them if they wanted to get into this profession?
I'll be honest with them. I'm telling them, like, you want to do this? Go to 5 open mic shows, do 5 straight, and see how you feel. Because this business is not for the faint at heart. Okay, if you can't handle a heckler, if you can't handle someone not laughing at something that you thought was funny, like, it's not for you. But if you can persevere, if you can go to the worst bar, the kind where the floor is sticky, everyone's yelling at the game because they hate their life and don't want to go home, and they just want to drink and not be talked to, and you can get on a stage and make them turn around and laugh for 5 to 10 minutes, you got a shot. But you also got to remember, I tell people, it's like a track race. We all on the same team until we line up on that line, and then it's every man for themselves.
Wow.
Last man standing.
Good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Before we wrap up, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show and share such a story of inspiration. For 15 years, you've been making us laugh. I wish you continue success with it. Please come back and share more funny jokes, which you only gave us one.
His bank account.
His bank account.
You want another one? You want another one? I feel like, because I'll sit there and just talk. But, and like I said, I don't have jokes. I just talk about growing up. Like, I tell everybody, like, yeah, like, recently I just started admitting, like, I'm 45 and I still have a corner boy's name. And I'm like, I think it's time that maybe I should do something different. Cause I'm like, my real name is Christian, but you see my body, everyone just assumed that I have weed. I'm like, no, my first name is Christian. I sell cocaine. And, I had to. I went to a private school. I knew my clientele. So, I mean, you just got to worry about those type of things in life.
Right.
And it's just, as I said, man, I'm 45 and I'm no wife, no kids. And everybody's like, oh, you traveling, having fun. But when I go home, my family, they're like, just admit you're gay and come out the closet. I'm like, no, it's.
Spyder, how can the viewers reach out to you and support you in your journey?
You can find me at Spyder Jones. That's on everything: Twitter or X now, Instagram, TikTok before they close it. You can find that's my thing. Spyder with a Y _Jones. I made it easy for anyone to find me. You see me on the street, just be like, hey, be like, buy me a cheeseburger. Other than that, I'm not hard to find.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me say thanks to our celebrity guest for attending today's show.
Absolutely.
Miss Amy Thurman. Amy, how can the viewers reach out to you?
They can go to my website, www.getamyshelp.com, and all of my information's there. It's a one-stop shop. You can get my book there. You can connect with me on the socials. Just all kinds of things there. I would love to hear from the viewers.
It's been great having you as a celebrity co-host. Please come back and join us again.
Thank you.
And more importantly, my co-host, my co-captain, the whole 9 yards, my definitely ride or die.
Yes,
partner.
yes.
Thank you for being on the show. Look, before we
pleasure.
wrap up, what you been doing? What you been doing?
So, I'm just trying to really empower people with access to their rights and help them get the legal services they need, but build and elevate that brand so that they can get visible, get known, and get out there and build the influence, impact, and income they desire.
How can the viewers reach out to you to know how to get all of that information? Spyder, you better write this information down because you're rebranding yourself. How can the viewers get that information, Yolanda?
I am at branding the number 4 success. Branding for success. That's how you get Yolanda M. Smith at branding for the number 4 success on all digital platforms.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Spyder, for coming on the show. Make sure you guys reach out to Spyder, support him. All we need to do is click those like buttons. And more importantly, people, when we have people on this show, please support them, because all we need to do is take time out to support everybody. And when we do that, the whole community grows and we all get a chance. We all get a chance to eat. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre
The Beast Crayton Show.